This is Sean and Mike with Talking Tickets, and we are with the OG founder of That's My Ticket, Dean Macchi. All right, Dean, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. It's nice to be here and talking to you guys live. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's nice to be able to actually talk tickets with ticket people instead of friends and my wife who doesn't want to hear about them anymore.
Well, Dean, I didn't know too much about your backstory, but you founded a company called That's My Ticket that you recently sold, which basically, let me pull up kind of a little, I saw your Etsy and basically
is that still there?
but kind of give people an idea of what That's My Ticket did. And you basically kind of explain what That's My Ticket was.
That's pretty cool that it's still there. Whoops. Yeah, I mean, so a company based on everything to do with tickets, and it kind of evolved. But I went to the quick story without going too far back into the company to get to tickets itself. But the backstory was, I went to Super Bowl 31, Packers Patriots, because I've been a Patriot season ticket holder since '93. So I went to that Super Bowl with my dad, and came home, and it's, even though they lost to the Packers, it's a big thing. And everyone kind of celebrates the fact that you've gone to a Super Bowl, regardless of whether you win or lose. And I had done, framing of my own memorabilia on my side. So I framed up, the ticket and the cover and some pictures of me and my dad at the game, and slowly started formulating this idea that there's probably a lot of other people who'd want to do that for sporting events, right? So you go to the World Series, you go to some major milestone, a ballpark inauguration, all the milestones that we collect, right? There's a reason, and people want to take those tickets and frame them. So it started with that, which we call the ticket frame. And the ticket frame, I think I have one if I can get it up here. So that's a ticket frame, so that's what it evolved into. So the frame, it has a headline, it has a photo, it has a story like you'd see in the newspaper, has all the game statistics, and then of course your ticket. So it'd be empty. Oops, your ticket, and then your photo. So they started with this, and then it evolved into everything you could have imagined for tickets, right? So we started doing ticket stands, stands to put your tickets in. And we made sure, as good collectors, that it wouldn't damage them. So any of the products we made, they could all be removed. So this just opened up. We did ticket albums, books to put your tickets in. And we had every team, because eventually we started with MLB, but we got licensed by the NHL, NBA, colleges. We did NASCAR for a little while. So we had lots of different licenses that we held. And then as it gets more into tickets, it evolved into mega tickets. So there's probably some people out there, I hope, who have some of these relics, but that's a mega ticket. So 3 feet by 1 feet printed on canvas, So we would personalize them. We'd put your seat section row in it. That's my ticket, literally. So people would buy them and get them autographed, or they put their seat section row. And then out of that came mini mega tickets. So smaller versions. So where it became kind of cool and interesting is that the leagues didn't own any of the tickets. So in order to make these, I had to get the ticket images. So I couldn't get them online because the resolution wasn't good enough. So I ended up, 20 years ago, starting to slowly amass an insane amount of tickets because I needed them for the business. So World Series, Super Bowl, milestones, all the things that we collect that people would want to buy as a novelty item. So, that's the business, and it just kept evolving and evolving. And even as digital tickets were coming, we had the rights, while I had the business, to reproduce replica and commemorative tickets. And I know a lot of people, have their opinions on those, but, we still did them because it was a solution to not having a ticket. So unfortunately, that hasn't continued on because there'd be a lot of customers out there, especially in our world, who would want them. But again, the leagues, the interesting point about the tickets is that the leagues didn't own the ticket images. the teams printed their own tickets, and even for like, say, the World Series or the Stanley Cup, the leagues didn't have any of the historic art, which I found just absolutely stunning that they wouldn't have that really cool creative asset to leverage and to give to other licensees. So it kind of made it, a barrier to entry for anyone else trying to compete with That's My Ticket, that I was able to go out and acquire all the tickets on my own. So that's resulted in a massive collection. And then part two of that, without going too deep, is I ran into people who were ticket brokers. And around that same time, in the early 2000s, digital tickets were just happening, and ticket brokers would sell tickets to games, and then they would transfer them digitally, and then they would keep what they would call the Deadwood. So I met a couple of ticket brokers who were like, man, I got all these boxes of hard tickets. I've seen your business. Can you do anything with them? I'm like, I don't know that I could sell them, but I'll buy them in bulk and go through and see if I find any tickets that I can use. And actually, some of the tickets I would take to the trade show and spread out on the floor and just put all over the place. So it'd just be massive amounts of tickets. And then as tickets started taking off, I knew they were valuable, but then I started digging through them. And of course, when COVID hit, I really started digging through them, and just massive amounts of tickets. Literally, I'm not exaggerating, 100,000 plus tickets that I have, and I'm still going through, and I honestly think I will die before I get to all of them.
Wow.
So these 100,000 plus tickets that you acquired, so were they all post 2000, or were there some olders like 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s?
Yeah, no, so that kind of, makes my collection go in two directions. So the tickets I acquired for the business to create the mega tickets and the products are all the historic ones. So, I have a full run of Super Bowl tickets, and I have 70% of the NBA All-Star games and almost all of the slam dunk tickets. So things like that from the business, I tend to have older ones, but the Deadwood tickets tend to be from around 2000 up to 2015. So, so an example that I mentioned before. So, this is David Pasternak's debut tickets. There's, I think, 70 or 80. So I have lots of other examples where, there were just massive finds as I go through these boxes. Here's Brad Marchand, because I'm a Bruins fan, so even more on him. And one of the biggest ones I happened, because it was interesting, Mike, I think you sold one recently. There were 35 Giannis debut tickets in one of the boxes I found. They were in books. They were perfect. I probably got a handful of 6s and 7s, but a good chunk of 8s and 9s, and maybe a half dozen 10s. And as the bubble was rising, I sold a good chunk of them, but I still kept maybe 8 or 10 of them. So things like that. There's just massive amounts of tickets.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So Dean, how do you store them all? Where are they? You have a full room? It seems like they would.
I have a full room with we also made ticket boxes. So little, shoe boxes that you'd be accustomed to putting pictures in, in old school when people actually printed pictures, there'd be boxes. So we actually sold boxes to like Michael's and hobby shops that had tickets around them. And those coincidentally fit 3x7 ticket holders. So I have a basement with shelves and boxes upon boxes. If I could bring my camera down there, I would show you. But then I also have PSA tickets. I probably up to well over 1,000 now, PSA tickets that I've slowly gotten graded.
Wow.
So would you say you're more of a collector or a dealer?
That's a good question. I want to be a dealer, but the collector keeps on bringing me back in and makes me buy when I'm like, just sell. So I can't help but buy.
So what do you collect?
So a long time, I've been a Jerry Rice fan forever. Growing up, the Patriots were horrendous. I didn't like any New York teams, even though I grew up in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. And, our local teams were the Giants and the Yankees, but I was still a Massachusetts guy, so I couldn't like any New York teams. And the Patriots were horrible. And I just gravitated towards the Cowboys and the 49ers, which were great teams at the time. And Jerry Rice was the man. So I'm working on, and I'm about 90% to a Jerry Rice games played collection.
Wow.
I, of course, don't have the big one. I know there's one on eBay. I'm going back and forth. We've gotten close to doing a deal, but it didn't happen as the debut for him is I think it's still out there. Did you guys see that one?
The one on eBay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's down to, they started it at 10. I think it's down to around 6 now. So we'll see. We'll see. That's one of the ones I need, but I have pretty much everything else. The next big one for Rice would be, his first touchdown. So that's a full ticket. That's kind of hard to find.
Wow, that's a really nice one too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I have the Rice collection. I have almost 2 full runs of Super Bowl tickets. The Super Bowl tickets I have, well, here's like the big 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
What now? Super Bowls are interesting because, the ones huge and the 3 kind of, talk about the Super Bowl tickets as in most desired, are there some random rare ones? We all know like 1 and 3 are probably the most popular, but between the color variations and maybe any other type of things we wouldn't know as basic ticket collectors about the Super Bowl ticket run.
Yeah, you're dead on with the 1 and 3 are definitely the most desirable ones. The Brady ones I always thought would be more. 36 being his first is a pretty significant one that's a little bit harder to find, but I think the Super Bowl tickets in general have been a lot easier to find in recent years. I started a long time ago, and the thing that got me sucked in was, and everyone has their opinion on it, but I love it, the set registry, right? So PSA was really good at the time because Super Bowl tickets were probably early on the most collected ones. So they gave great grading to each one of the tickets. Of course, you got bonus points if it was a full ticket. So I kind of got really into that. But my collection was, I know you guys talk about it, is it full tickets or is it stubs? And, the collector in me loves knowing that the ticket was at the game, right? You guys have talked about that too. It's the artifact at the game. That ticket was there, whoever owned it saw what happened. And I think that's so cool. So I gravitate towards stubs just personally, but from a business and a value standpoint, because, there's value in tickets and it's part of what exists, whether we like it or not, then I find myself leaning towards full. So I'm kind of split on the full versus stub, but that comes out of the Super Bowl tickets where fulls was a big part early on. I think it's gotten a little less attractive. What do you guys think? I mean, fulls or stubs?
Yeah, for Super Bowl tickets, I think full tickets are really, really nice just because they all look so attractive. They're meant to be kind of displayed, it seems like. So the full tickets are great, but I agree with you. I prefer the stub for 2 reasons: that it was at the game and that it's generally easier to acquire in terms of cost and availability. So collector.
What for fulls and colors like Super Bowl ones, I know is there really a big price difference between certain colors of the
there is and there can be. And again, because kind of like Sean said, I was more into, I just wanted to run in one from each. So there's been times where I've had a rarer color variation and I've sold or traded them to guys who were going after the master set. So I had a white Super Bowl 4 ticket, which is still really hard to find, that I was able to sell for, at the time, a premium. So I don't, for colors, it doesn't matter as much to me. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Dean, when you talk about master set, what all is that just color variations, or are you talking about different types of tickets in the stadiums? Is it
for Super Bowl specifically, a master set is every color variation.
Yeah. And so does every year have various color variations?
They don't. It could be, some have 1, 2, 3. I think the most is probably 4. There's guys that know more about the color variations in the masters than I do.
Yeah.
But it's another cool component.
Yeah.
What about recent Super Bowls? Now, have they been eliminating them, or can you still get kind of commemorative Super Bowl tickets? What are they doing now?
Yeah, so the NFL, I have the last 4. So for the last 4 years post-event, the NFL sends out all the people who they know bought the tickets. Will send them an actual ticket. So there's, PSA will still mark those as commemorative, But from a size standpoint, from a print quality standpoint, having the hologram on the back, every element of the ticket is still a legit ticket. It just was never used to get you in the game. So it ends up falling under that commemorative realm. But it's still very cool. So I have them all, and I hope that the NFL continues to do that because they're really neat looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're a Boston guy, correct?
I'm a big Boston guy. Yeah.
What's
spoiled Boston guy?
Do you have you have a Brady collection? Do you have any Boston favorites?
I do have a pretty good Brady collection. I'm season ticket holder since '94, when no one really cared about the Patriots, when Bledsoe and Belichick started. And my favorite ticket, of course, is Brady replaces Bledsoe. So that, I was a ticket guy at the time, so I was making sure my tickets were going in lanyards. This is my ticket. It came back a PSA 7. It's the highest graded stub right now. So I was at that game, and truth be told, I wasn't a Brady fan. I wanted him to bring back Bledsoe. Who is this guy? Get him out of here. Get Drew back in here.
Bledsoe was big time.
That's the crazy thing. A lot of people forget, Bledsoe got knocked out. He was the highest paid player in the NFL. And then Brady had that run in the regular season. And then in the AFC Championship, Brady got hurt. Bledsoe came in, threw that touchdown. They won the game. And then there was that big controversy, like, who are they going to start in the Super Bowl? Yeah, exactly. They went with Brady, and that was it. That was kind of, Brady was off and running. Like, other than the Brady replaces Bledsoe, what do you consider the other top Patriot tickets?
Belichick's debut as the head coach for the Patriots, pretty good. I mean, here's another one that, is my ticket again. So this was Curtis Martin's NFL debut. So again, being a ticket guy, this went to the game, but it's a PSA 10.
Wow. You really did take care of your tickets.
I did.
And it was torn. So somebody grabbed it, tore a piece off of it, and it still got a 10.
I think I might have been anal enough at the time that I was probably pre-bending and telling the guy that I would do it for him.
Smart.
So do you have any Brady debuts?
I don't have a Brady debut. Thanksgiving game. I have every other ticket, at least home ticket, because I went pretty religiously up until probably the last few years. As kids and families start to take over, I didn't go to as many, but I'd say for the first 10 to 12 years, I never missed a game and have every one of those tickets. So within those, there's some great ones. I went when he came back and played, Tampa and returned. So that ticket's pretty collectible because it's hard to find. They only had suite tickets, were the only physical tickets, unless you did the phone trick at the boss office for that game.
Give us I assume you were at the Tuck Rule game?
I was at the Tuck Rule game. Yeah, I have that one too. I forgot that.
Give us your thoughts on that one.
Go Patriots. A great, yeah. I think even though I'm a Patriots fan, I never heard of the call, Tuck Rule. What is that? But, whatever they're calling, we get the ball back, I'm all for it. So at the time, phenomenal. In retrospect, probably a little bit generous on that call.
What do you guys think? Your top Patriot games you've attended have been?
Yeah, there's obviously the Brady gets knocked out, but that's not one that you realize was anything special at the time. You're there and you're like, damn, Brady got injured, Bledsoe got injured, and Brady came in. So it didn't mean anything at the time. I'd say the Tuck Rule was pretty cool. And I've been to 5 Super Bowls. I would always argue or tell any of my friends that the coolest game to be at, even though the Super Bowl is exciting and so much fun, a third of the stand is one team, a third of the stand's the other team, and a third are neutral. They're corporate people who don't have a rooting interest. So when your team wins, you're excited, but you don't get that energy. So for me, the most exciting games were home AFC Championship games, right? Yeah. The whole crowd is into it, hanging on every play, every whistle. And then when they win, there's an eruption that you just don't get at the Super Bowl. Right. So I'd say, all the AFC Championships games, with which there were 9, crazy.
Only 9.
Only 9.
Dean, I've been fortunate enough to be to 3 NFC Championship games where the Seahawks won all 3, and I couldn't agree more. I've never been to a more intense, exciting sporting event. As you know, you go out into the concourse and there's not a soul out there because everybody's in their seat for the entire game. It's incredible.
It is very true. So I mean, Mike, have you ever been fortunate enough to get to
the most exciting game I've been to was when the Rangers won basically won the pennant, and they beat the Yankees at home. It was a game 6, and it was electric. You know, it was the first time to go to the World Series, and that place, like Nelson Cruz hit a home run the game that put him up like 6-2. Basically, was like holy hell! I think we're going to the World Series. I remember he hit that home run, and the place was just it was insane. Like I get chills just thinking about it. But yeah, you're right. Like those are the best when you can, like, you're with all the people and all the fans and they just go wild and you can like soak it all in.
Oh, you're hugging strangers, beer's getting spilled everywhere, you know. It's great. So many great Brady moments from those times, and Boston sports fan, just spoiled and got to go see the Red Sox in 04 and 07 and 13 and 18 and the Bruins and the Celtics. So just an insane run for Boston. A little payback now with the Patriots, but that's okay. We can dwell in the basement for another 20 years and I'll take it.
So you mentioned something about you got a big Baltimore Colt collection of tickets. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I had a really, a found in the wild kind of story. So online, I found a guy not on eBay that was selling some 1949 Colts tickets, just 6 of them. And I'm like, 49's a hard year to find. Nothing really major in that year. I did a little bit of research. I'm like, they were in nice shape. So I reached out to the guy, asked him if he could do better on price. He brought the price down quite a bit. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'll take them. And then we get, texting back and forth. And, I said, you have anything else? He's like, actually, I have a huge run from 50 all the way up to the 80s of Colts tickets. I'm like, really? Can you send me pictures? So he sends me pictures and I'm quickly going to my computer and doing research, what might be in here that this guy is sending me. I mean, it's Raymond Berry and Lenny Moore and Art Donovan and Deacon Jones are all debuts. And of course, Unitas is in those years. So he sends me all the pictures and I'm looking at them. And yes, most of those debuts are in there. There's Unitas' first win, but, no Unitas debut. I'm like, oh. So, I calmly type back and say, based on our last deal of whatever per ticket, I would give you a little bit less since they're older, which was still a fair amount of money. And the guy's like, sold. So I bought the next 10 years. And then he's like, I got, 60 plus. I'm like, well, send me those pictures. So he sent me those. And of course, in there was a Don Shula head coaching debut. So finished the transaction, waiting for the tickets to come. They finally get to my house and dying to open them and going through them all. And I'm looking at the one of the years that I couldn't quite see in the pictures. And lo and behold, Unitas debuts in there. We're just jaw-dropping at the moment. So that's at PSA. Unfortunately, but fortunately, it came back as a PSA 1. Visually, it's really nice looking, so I can't show it to you. It's a good stub. It just was really, it bent a lot. It has creases vertically and horizontally. Yeah. But hey, it's a Unitas debut ticket.
Yeah. That's great. Great story.
Yeah, so it doesn't happen. And I can give you a little visual here, back out. But this is, the lot of tickets. So when you're looking at them, they're
just one after another. That's the thing people don't, I know Howard mentioned something about how, when you reach out to somebody on eBay, they sell something, you buy it from them, and if you can just give them a random, hey, you have anything else? And man, like sometimes people say, oh yeah, I have this, and this, and they haven't posted it or anything. And I mean, is that how do you go about, other than your big Deadwood find? Do you do random things to find tickets like that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll scour, other marketplaces or things online that I can. I mean, everyone knows now, so right, it's a little bit harder when not everyone was looking. You could find more of those diamonds in the rough, but now, you got a lot of people out there that are, digging through the hay looking for the needles, and they're finding them. So they're getting harder and harder to find. But I'll have those conversations. A lot more ends up being trading now. I like to trade more than sell.
So Dean, with that Colts find, is that something that you see as a dealer or as a collector?
Yeah. And that's the question. I'm sitting here looking at all of them and going, there's some nice money in there. But then I'm like, I want to be one of the guys that has the Unitas debut ticket. That should be, something I have. Only two who put that up.
Mike 03, he's all about he's ready.
See, I mean, you're not a particularly a Colts fan or anything like that, right?
No, I'm not. So I don't have that passion for it. There'll be a day that I sell it, certainly. But for now, I think I want to.
Well, how can Mike VU or whatever get a hold of you? sounds like he's quite interested.
Deals happen.
Yeah, it can. I don't. So the question for you guys, and it's who knows what it is, but initial reaction is what you would put on a value of something like that.
Yeah, that's it. You mean for the whole lot, for all of it,
or just the Unitas? Let's just pull that one out. Yeah. I mean, there's one graded by PSA. That's a 2. This one's a 1.
In all of collecting, documented sales, is there any sales that you are aware of?
I scoured the auction houses, image searches. I just couldn't find anything. And what's the comp? Even if you say, okay, there's none of him, what's the comp?
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to figure vintage or old school NFL quarterbacks, right? And Unitas is probably tops when you say it. I mean,
for the
is there an older,
pre-70s?
Yeah, pre-Super Bowl, he's the tops. But can you compare him to Brady?
Yeah.
No.
So then
I found an Otto Graham one. I mean, that's kind of in the realm.
Cool.
I think somebody paid me. Oh man, I think it was almost 8,500. Is it 6,500 or 8,500 at the time? That was a year.
That was more towards the bubble, though, right? Wasn't it?
Right, but Otto's definitely not Unitas, and I think there is like 4 or 5 or 6 grams. But yeah, I would think it starts at like minimum that and up.
Yeah, who knows? So I'll keep you posted though when I get to that point that I'm willing to let it go, and it'll be fun to see what it ends up going for.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, Otto Graham's an all-timer. Don't be laughing at Otto. Multiple championships with the Browns.
Yeah, I end up gravitating towards football though. I mean, so just being a season ticket holder for so long, I'll give you some more. Like I have a nice group of wide receiver debuts, right? So Calvin Johnson, that's a PSA 6.
Is that like a sweet ticket, or are they all that big?
They were all that big, and that was from the Deadwood collection, by the way.
Deadwood, okay.
As was so Kurt Warner debut. I don't know how that got in there, but Tim Brown, a full debut, PSA 6.
One. Yeah, that's cool.
Steve Largent.
Oh, Sean, are you a Largent fan?
Oh, that's right, Sean. There you go.
I have one, of course.
Oh,
good. There's Terrell Owens, Fitzgerald.
We'll go to that Fitzgerald. Is that a rare one, the Larry Fitzgerald?
It's not as much. I've seen a few of them. I also have 4 from the Deadwood, 4 of the box office version of his debut.
Do you ever get any sign?
You know what? I don't care for the signing, and I think they're really cool. I have so much to do and try to manage what I have that layering on autographs on top of everything, just too much for me to do. But I appreciate them, and I do think they're cool.
I feel like you need some minions under you to help you sort through all your tickets and list them and do all that's needed to be done.
I do. So I go through a team in a year at a time. So here, this is, I'm right now, what am I working on? 2008 Pirates tickets.
Wow.
So this is,
you'd be a good person to reach out where people are always looking like, oh, I'm looking for somebody's hit or home run. Like you've got to have a lot of stuff people need.
I do. And you know what, though? You know what the funny thing is? That I get that question a lot, and I don't like it because I'm still in the process of organizing it. So someone's like, do you have a whatever ticket? I'm like, I probably do, but the time it would take me to find it, and for the price that it might be, I don't know, $5, $10, $15, I'm like, it's just not worth the time. I just have to go through this process and do one team in a year at a time.
So, Dean, how do you envision selling them? Do you sell them as lots or individual tickets? Because as individual tickets, you're talking, maybe $10 for something, with somebody hit a home run or something like that.
So I've done some lots, but I end up doing individuals, because I do a cursory review of, what happened in the game. So for baseball right now, the process for me is I can take an Excel spreadsheet, go in and grab the schedule results of a team, put that in Excel, put some formulas in there and create a title, which I end up as my description. And then I have my whole list of, tickets from a given season. And then I just have to go through ESPN and click on every game in the schedule and see if anything major happened, or if, Pujols hit a home run. That would be,
So you mainly rely on the box scores.
I mainly rely on the box scores, and I always start them as auctions too, just in the event that I miss something. So I'm, starting it as an auction. Hope if I miss something, it's going to get bid up, and chances are I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 extras.
I'm just realizing when Justin made that comment that I bought a ticket from you recently on eBay.
You did?
You didn't notice it? It was. I don't have it with me right now, but it was the Dodgers in 2008. I forget the date. I think it was like September 13th or whatever. It was the game where Greg Maddux faced Randy Johnson, and they both got pulled and replaced by Kershaw and Scherzer.
Oh yeah.
That's a good ticket. That's a great ticket.
Yeah, and I think I probably, sold them for too cheap. I had them out there a while. That's a good example. Like, I think I put something minor as the milestone, and then guys who know, they find them and they buy them. And, it used to bother me, but I'm like, hey, I have so much.
I don't know that it would have gone for a whole lot more because it's a common ticket, but,
I'm just not yours specifically, but in general, things like that. So I'm happy when other guys find, there's something I didn't know,
Dean, what's your eBay handle?
TicketsToHistory.
Ah, okay. Tickets to History.
Which was that's my ticket product. So we used to, like for the All-Star game, we used to make posters, and we had every All-Star game ticket in the poster. And the posters were called Tickets to History.
So how many tickets do you think you've sold on? How many sales over the years on eBay? Are you like the tens of thousands? Are you like
hundreds of thousands? Yeah.
So how many on a given week? How many packages do you send out?
It depends. I mean, probably like 100.
100 a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have people working for you?
I don't.
I don't think I could find the time to do all of that, but you probably have a good system kind of in place where you print stuff off. And
yeah, I think that's what it is, right? At first I was like, this is crazy. I shouldn't do it. I should just sell them in lots and, pull out the diamonds and get rid of the rest. And I'm like, yeah, I still find it entertaining and fun and interesting. But there'll be days where I'm like, got to ship more tickets and I don't feel like it today. But
all right, I pulled up your page.
Oh yeah,
this is it, right? 8,000. Is that right? 8,000 listings.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dean, you're a machine.
There it is.
Let's go highest price. What we got? Oh,
see what he's
There's
got.
a
you
Giannis.
got the Carmelo. You got a couple of Pierce, Ripken. All right. So yeah, you kind of deal with a lot of, nothing crazy high end, a lot of just, what, 10, 20, 50, hundreds and things like that, and just have a ton.
Yeah, most of my high-end tickets I've kept in my personal collection, so the ones that we're looking at, you don't get to see as much, and certainly I'm holding on. So here's some more examples of fun ones that I talked about. So there you go. The Jordan triumphant, his 3 slam dunk championships, and
Are
2
those
of them
all full?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I mean, this, and how's that? I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't focus that well.
Yeah, I think you can kind of get a good one. Those are all Jordan slam dunk contests.
Yeah, so this is 85 full for Jordan. This is a 87 full.
Nice.
And then I don't have the 88 full, but I have a stub. So there's. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna go. Yeah, do you have some other items that you're going to show?
Yeah, I mean, so you saw a couple music. I love sports, but I actually love music even more. I know Sutterfield does too. So I have some music ones that are worth sharing. I'll start with a couple minor ones. This one's kind of cool. So they called it a season ticket, but I don't know why. So this is a book of 1969 Isle of Wight festival tickets. So at the Isle of Wight was Bob Dylan and the band, The Who. So this is an entire book.
Wow.
Now, where do you get something like that?
So actually, before the bubble started, I was slowly buying music and concert tickets. So I bought this on eBay from someone overseas. It's pretty cool. So I kind of like that one. That's a fun one. Other music ones that are neat, I'll save the big ones for last. This is the Clash, the first time they played in the United States. So they were such a UK band, and it was a big deal when they came over. And they actually got terrible reviews. But that was their first USA show. You've probably seen these, but Freddie Mercury's final show with Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And then my 2 favorite music ones, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys dabble in music at all, but obviously with sports, the player's debut is the big ticket with concerts, because most bands start off in bars and playing weddings and things like that. There's no true debut. So the tickets that end up being pretty cool are the last tickets. So my favorite one, because once upon a time was a drummer and still play a little bit, is I was able to get this. So this is the last Zeppelin concert with Bonham.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a Pop 2. I talked to the guy who posted one on Boogers. He ended up selling his overseas. I think he got 4,000 or 5,000 for it. So I love this one. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
When you're buying concert tickets, because I think I'm, me, you, and Justin, I know are definitely into like more of the concert than the last concerts. What do you usually look for when you're buying concerts?
Yeah, I think it's it's typically either festivals. I have a bunch of festival tickets, so the Woodstock tickets are easy to get because they were all. I think you guys know the story of that, right? Most of the tickets ended up going into a safe after everyone started storming Woodstock. So those tickets are easy to find in great grades. But the other festivals, Woodstock 94, 99, Bonnaroo, the Isle of Wight, Newport Folk Festival, those things are kind of neat. But the last performances as an original lineup are always fun. This is the other one, so I'll hide the headline for now. But this is a 1974 Elton John ticket, which he played at Madison Square Garden. And the significance of it is that he had just recorded Whatever Gets You Through the Night with John Lennon. And apparently they made a little wager and Elton said, if it's a big hit, you're going to come perform with me. And Lennon said, it's never going to be a big hit. It was fun to do, but it's not. And it went on to be a big hit. So Lennon ended up performing that night. And lo and behold, that was the last live performance of John Lennon, was with Elton.
Wow. Was that a recent purchase?
That was probably, on the start of the bubble. It was an eBay purchase where there's a great story. And actually the back of the ticket's really fun too, which, you talk about the ticket being there. So, the tickets, it's graded a 3, but marks. So the back of the ticket said Elton John concert, Kiki D played. First Elton John came out through clouds of smoke, put on a fantastic show. John Lennon made a guest appearance, ! Greatest concert ever. So,
wow.
Yeah. I like sometimes the writing is really cool on the back of tickets when people put little notes.
Yeah.
It kind of adds. I know people like collectors really don't like the writing, but man, sometimes I'm like, just think it's cool. Really.
That's a great example of a ticket where the writing is, I think it enhances it. I think it makes it better.
I totally agree with you, Sean. And with it, the seller gave me it was a girl's diary. So it was, I'm reading 1 year of this. I didn't read it all. But, she has 2 pages dedicated to this, night, the guy that she went with, the friend she was at. So, the provenance of that combined with this is very, very cool. So I really like that.
That is really cool.
Yeah, you got some, I didn't realize you have that kind of concert stuff. That's some really nice stuff. Let me see what Justin's got here. Strike Force, that ticket from the day of the music. I think, it's talking about Buddy Holly. It says Strike Force searching for the Buddy Holly last performance.
Yeah. Ravel too. He's bought it. I've sold a bunch to him. Justin. What's up, Justin? He's got so many tickets, bastard. He's got a lot of good. Yeah, and the Stevie Ray Vaughan's, last one before the helicopter crash is I don't have that one. I would like to add that to my collection one day.
Well, I know I like to collect these. I don't know if you had any Nirvana, your big last concert. This is my favorite last concert ticket is the Nirvana last concert. Kind of my, love them growing up.
Yeah, that's a phenomenon. I don't have that. I do have a couple tickets from that tour though, the last tour in Europe, but that's a great one. Sean, you have any concert tickets?
I do not. I don't think other than maybe a Woodstock, I don't think I own a single. Well, I mean, I have some random stuff, but nothing of significance. Just, random concerts that landed in lots or that I actually went to that I saved, but nothing.
Sean, you were prime grunge area up there. Were you still in Seattle when that was going on?
Oh yeah. I was in middle school. I remember that day there were kids in middle school crying when what's his name committed suicide.
Cobain, yeah.
Yeah, Cobain.
There's got to be some Pearl Jam tickets out there somewhere, right?
Oh, I'm sure. In fact, I was looking at the Nirvana and where they started, and they started right here, in the same city that I was living in Tacoma. That was kind of where they went to the bars and everything and started playing. So that kind of stuff is around here, I'm sure, but it's nothing that I've ever gone searching for.
Yeah, another one that, going off of the non-sport, non-concert one that I have and have had a while. And again, it was something that I bought for the business though. So that's JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country speech.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so that's a full PSA 7. That's kind of neat too. I'm not big.
How rare is that? Are those tough to get?
I think that, like any, the fulls are a little bit tougher. I'm not a political guy at all, but that one resonates, and I think everyone knows or has heard elements of that speech. So that's kind of fun one too.
Yeah.
Dean, I was going to ask you, since you're a huge eBay seller, I didn't realize you had such a monster account. Kind of what's your strategy when you list your tickets?
Yes, it's always a fun thing to talk through. I'm curious what you guys do, but like I said, for the lower end ones, or if I can't find a major milestone, I always start them at a low price and let them go. If someone discovers that there's a value or a milestone that I didn't realize, chances are I have multiples. So I'm not worried if I, don't make full value on them. And I'm not trying to make a killing on my tickets. I try to be reasonable. If people make offers, as long as it's in the ballpark, I'm pretty good with that. The higher end stuff, that's more research, comps. I found it a little bit tiring that often people will list, the higher end tickets for 4 to 5 times of what reality is. And then, you watch the ticket and then, within 24 hours, you get an offer for 50% off. Just not necessary. So I try to be reasonable, with my prices best I can. It's just a live and learn. Do you guys sell a lot? I'm not familiar. Do you guys do eBay much for selling?
I don't.
I do. I post stuff on there. I have like 100 listings, and to me, I'm like, wow, I feel like I have a lot of listings. I have 100. Dean has 7,900.
Yeah, the amount of time that it would just take to list 7,900 things.
Well, so they have a bulk uploader. So in the spreadsheet, you can do everything in the spreadsheet, and then you just hit upload, and list like 100 at a time is what I'll do. You could do thousands if you wanted.
What about the pictures, though?
The pictures are torture. Yeah, you still have to go into each listing and add the picture in, so that's a pain.
So oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go, Sean.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you've ever considered lumping them together, like home runs of Hall of Famers. I know that there's a lot of collectors out there who would, especially if they're getting started on, a particular player, or they might see a lot like that, and that might, prompt them to want to collect that player.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll probably do that at one point. Like, my goal is to try to list as much as I can, and then as it starts to slow down, then I'm going to have to reconfigure. So I'll either list them by player, or my other thought is, to take a team and list all away games. Because usually when people list in lots on eBay, it's, for a team and it's all their home tickets. But I think would be appealing for many collectors would be have a lot of 50 tickets of your favorite team that's on the road. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be a strategy I use in the future. But I'm still a ways away from it. I've listed all my basketball, most of my football. I'm in the middle of baseball, and I haven't even touched hockey yet.
Have you ever considered maybe starting your own website? Seriously, I always wonder that about sellers who have just a huge inventory, because then you don't have to pay the fees and all of that. A little bit of, eBay and get people to move over to your website. People would find you, and
they definitely do. I think, Boogers has been great for that. Right. The only problem with, Boogers, if you know the price, it's not just Boogers, it's any, social media marketplace, if you will, where a mass of people can see it. If you know the price and are confident about that price, then that's great. The problem is if you don't know the price, and then you end up negotiating one-on-one, and what are you negotiating with? You're negotiating, with yourself and the other person, where eBay put it at auction. If people want it, let them fight it out. So I kind of find selling the lower end stuff through eBay has been better for me. I know there's guys on the Facebook and Boogers that will do lower end stuff and put a whole long list together.
Right.
There's all different ways that work.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I wanted to get Sean's opinion on a few things. There's a recent Goldin auction. I don't know if you saw it, Dean, also.
I already know what you're going to bring up.
All right. The highest sale of the auction. Jeter signed debut ticket.
This was the highest sale of the auction, or just tickets?
Well, of the tickets.
Yeah, the tickets.
38,430.
Wow.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't make sense either.
A mantle debut you can get for that same price.
Totally agree. And I would take the mantle every day, twice on Sunday.
But not only that, but the signature is awful. They didn't even get a grade on the signature. It's so bad. And it covers up the Yankee logo. Isn't that what you want? Isn't the Yankee logo like the big thing?
Yeah, totally. Totally agree with that. Wow.
This doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know. A stub sold on eBay a couple of weeks ago for $4,000. So you're saying that a signature is almost a 10x premium just because it's got this horrible signature that covers up the Yankee logo?
Yeah, and the stub itself is a PSA 2 on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way over. Is Jeter one of the guys that has a carve out for tickets now for signing?
But I don't think so. I think he signs. It's just expensive, but he signs.
Like $800, $900 for him to sign.
Oh, that's not that much.
Speaking of signings, a couple people have asked, are you gonna send Griffey's doing a signing? Sean, you sending anything in?
Yeah, I thought I gave that a thought, but yeah, I because I have tons of Griffey tickets that would be great signed, but I'd have to crack them out of the PSA, send them in to them, go through that whole hassle, pay a lot of money, and then once I get them back, have to send them back to PSA and then pay more to get them graded at such a high tier. So it's just that I just don't care about autographs enough to go through that hassle. So
yeah, me too. But on that point, for you two guys, what is your I'm gonna die with it ticket? So Sutterfield just popped up again. He was trying to buy he was interested in the Zeppelin ticket, and I told him I'm gonna die with it. Do you guys have I'm gonna die with it tickets?
Yeah, I have a whole collection of those.
Do you really?
I have probably too many, but who knows? Yeah, but I mean, I have a Hall of Fame debut collection that I wouldn't part with. And
I'm a big Mavs fan, and I think this is like a pop 1 or 2. This is when they won the title, and this is like they don't do tickets at the American Airlines Arena.
Right.
So I got Dick to sign it, and it came out. I thought great for the auto.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You got to get that slabbed.
Yeah, I was gonna take it when PS for the National. I was gonna do it there. I didn't want to ship it. That was kind of seems like the way to go for like really tickets you cannot fathom losing. But yeah, I think that's probably my true fan collector ticket that I'm into.
Yeah.
What else was at the Goldin auction?
We had this was a big one, the soccer. It was Messi's debut, and this is kind of in the ballpark where I thought it would go. I don't know if you guys kind of are in the loop on these, like this ticket.
No, I'm not.
Well, we talked about this on our last show with Taylor, and I think that's what we said, right? 10 to 15.
That was kind of our guesstimate. We thought at least 10.
Solid.
Yeah,
I thought it was a solid sale. I think the soccer guys. I haven't got on the Discord and see what they had to say, but I know Tay made a video about it. I haven't got a chance to watch it. But I thought it was a pretty solid sale. Messi's. I think it's like something that I could see a big collector just, rich guy buying and just throwing it in a safe and just never seeing it again. Other things that came out. Oh, I see a lot of these. The Hulk signed Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was 7,300. That's like, I feel like wrestling's having another moment. I know. Dean, do you follow wrestling at all?
I don't, but I'm always surprised at the number of people who are interested in it. And, great. It's another nice segment of the hobby where there's some big collectors out there, and the prices are always eye-popping. Even this for me is like, wow, it's WrestleMania, but it is Hulk Hogan, so very cool.
Other ones, this was a cool one. I'm not a World Series collector. What are your thoughts on this one? The Babe Ruth Game 1, 1918, where he didn't he do something like threw a ton of innings and threw a shutout. Is that right? Is this the game?
Yeah. He threw a shutout. That's apparently that's a big one because 5,000 is a lot for a World Series ticket, but you get before the 1920s, and it's this one. Is this the one that Justin bought?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Wow. Okay.
Well, when I saw this ticket, I was like, man, this has got Justin's name, and he said this is kind of a cool little note.
Oh, that's a cool note. Yeah, that's very cool.
Really? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That I did not know. Yeah, I mean, you get Americana mixed with Babe Ruth, mixed with the World Series. So you can't go wrong there, Justin.
Yeah, very
cool. I thought that was a cool, like, under the radar ticket that I feel like, especially with that, I didn't know about the anthem thing. I was like, okay,
Yeah, that adds another level of coolness to it for sure. I would wonder if he's going to have it re-slabbed so they can put that on there.
Oh, Beckett, you got to go to Beckett if you want all that info.
Yeah, a lot of information.
A few others. He's been popping up a lot. This was the Dream Team Gold 3600, and I was like, that's pretty good for a PSA 2. I think somebody came out with the theory that this was in Barcelona, and maybe word's gotten out, and people have been digging around their desk drawers and pulling them out, and they've been hitting Goldin a lot.
Yeah, I've been seeing more of those too. Not that I'm a collector, but just in passing, definitely see a bigger quantity of those around.
I really like the old school first games or the first home game tickets. This went for a pretty good amount. This is kind of a cool ticket. Mets first home game, full ticket, 2,600. And I always feel like there'll always be a buyer for these tickets.
Yeah.
Because there's always a super fan who wants the first. But I thought that was a cool one.
Yeah, that's very cool, right? And they have 2 years at the Polo Grounds before they moved to Shea, right? 64 was Shea.
That was the same one. And I think there was a few other random ones. You had some F1 stuff. You also had there's always some random sales, like Patrick Mahomes' first NCAA start, $793. I'm like, this ticket's a dime a dozen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
things like that. But I thought it was a kind of a cool auction. People can kind of go through it and see all the other little sales they had. This went for a pretty good amount. I've noticed that cool tickets that there's a high pop. Sometimes like this ticket, I think there's 350 of these. The Game 7, LeBron wins it in Cleveland. Like, here's the pop report. This
Holy
is
smokes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you get them in these auctions and people kind of bid them up because they're so cool. But look at that pop, 93 10s, 122 9s.
Wow.
Went for 1,300. I mean,
but even so, when you this type of ticket, it probably appeals to a lot of card collectors. And when you look at a card pop report, it's this is tiny compared to what cards look like. So they look at this and they think that there's not that many of them.
Because I see sometimes tickets where the pop reports are insanely high, and I'm like, man, I feel like if I buy this, another one's going to come along next week, and then another one next month, and another and another. And like, I don't want to overpay, but they're really cool. Is the demand going to keep up with the supply? Like the Kobe last game. There's hundreds of those, but pulling a trigger and spending a lot of money when there's so many out there is. It's kind of one of those questions I always have. But yeah, that's pretty much the Goldin auction. I know you wanted to mention about PSA. Don't be hating on PSA.
Oh, I know. This is I just wanted to say something good about PSA because it seems like we get criticized for saying nothing but bad things about PSA. But this is a great deal. They have a special running this month that's only $24.99 for the low tier for baseball specific tickets, and I have a stack of them that I'll be sending in because basically I have probably over 150 tickets that I like that are important, but they're not valuable enough to justify sending into PSA. But when they do a sale like this, then it kind of a handful of those will be worth it. So I'll be sending them in, but it's going all month. So say $5 a ticket. That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep. I wish it was all sports though.
Oh yeah, Sean, you wanted to mention I know we're about 3 months away, but the national.
Yeah, it's coming up. Dean? Are you going to the national?
I would love to be going. The guy I work for, Justin Ferrano, he's an artist. He's going to be set up there, but I'll be on family vacation in Italy at that time, so I won't be going.
Yeah.
Next year I'll go though, so we can catch up.
How can you choose Italy over Cleveland?
It was tough. It was very tough.
Yeah. Well, we're planning another meetup this year. We did the meetup last year, and it was a great success. And so we've got a place downtown. So I think Mike, have you booked a hotel yet there?
Yeah, I'm somewhere downtown.
Downtown, yeah. See, I'm downtown also, so that's kind of the place to be, I think. And so the meetup will be downtown at a bar called the Butcher and Brewer, and it'll be July 26th at 6 p.m. That's Friday. So for those of you who are going to be at the National and want to meet a bunch of ticket collectors, mark your calendar for that, and try to stay downtown. I think that'll be kind of the place to be for all the ticket collectors, at least.
Yeah, that's very cool that everyone's starting to do that and getting our little group together. So I hope to be there next year and meet everybody.
Yeah, I think back to Cleveland next year. Yeah, Cleveland or Chicago next year. Cleveland's kind of unique, where the convention center is 15-minute drive outside of downtown, so it's kind of in its own little.
So it's sort of the opposite of Chicago, I am understanding, where you stay downtown and then you commute instead of in Chicago, you stay by the show and then you drive or you get a ride to downtown if you want to do anything.
Will be fun.
Yeah.
But unless you guys had anything else, Dean, I appreciate you coming on, man. I love hearing your stories of your collections and seeing all your eBay listings. And man, I just want to see what else you find digging through all those tickets.
I'll keep you guys posted. It's fun, you crack a box and it's like getting a pack of cards, kind of, and pulling, seeing if I pull something. So it's good. It's entertaining.
Do you have a Mariners? Do you have any Mariners from that same time frame?
I do. So one of the other products, we made metal tickets, and one of the ones that we made was Griffey's 8 consecutive home runs. So I still have that one. So I assume you have that.
Yeah. I have. But I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch if I come up with anything. When you get to the Mariner box, let me know.
Okay, I will let you know on that. Good. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, check out Dean's eBay page, Tickets to History. Correct.
You got it. Wait, what's all those questions you usually ask? Let's go through that.
You get some really random ones, like, what would you guys feel Maris 61 ticket in I assume a PSA 6 would be? In the thousands, right? Low 1,500, a couple thousand.
3,000.
That's pretty nice grade. Maybe higher.
6 has got to be one of the highest grades. That's a really high grade for that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, we just got a bunch of rando comments, and people are asking about the Griffey. Just want to know, do you have any Red Panda tickets? Sorry, Mike. Haha. Damn, I still don't know if that's the official.
He probably does. But nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I can't get answers, even from her agent. He didn't know. He's going to talk to her, and I never heard back. It's kind of sad.
You got to follow up.
I'll just hope. But yeah, any older college tickets?
Are they asking if we have some? I have almost not a full run, but I think I have 90% of the Rose Bowl tickets.
Oh, wow.
So dating back, I think they start at the 30s. I think I have everyone from 37 up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was also part of That's My Ticket collection. Rose Bowl tickets are gorgeous. The ones in the 30s and 40s look like currency. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're really nice looking tickets.
VU Mike wants to say thank you, Dean.
You're welcome.
He's the one that you have to get in touch with. He's the coach.
Apparently, we're going to do some business.
That's right. He's buttering you up. He's ready to make a deal. All right, Dean. I appreciate it. Everybody who stuck around, appreciate it also.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for always doing this and taking the time and having other people on every week. It's great to always listen to you, and your guests are always fun. Just ticket collectors, different stories, right? There's so much more behind ticket collecting than people don't realize, that the stories of the tickets and then the people, that are collecting them are always entertaining and fun too. So it's great. Yeah. Thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks. Great group of guys for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks again.
All right. Peace out.
All right. Have a good one.
Later.
See ya.
All right, bye.